Cheers and welcome. This is the Esports Machina, and today's Automata episode is about the recent ban waves by Riot Games for NA Challenger scene. And there's two ways to get banned by Riot Games. One is being toxic, and one is elo boosting. Just quote quickly about the toxicity thing. Riot Games is an American company on American soil, and on the American Constitution there is First Amendment, which means the freedom of speech on its fullest form. And the freedom of speech also includes hate speech. So you can say bad things about men of color, people of certain religion or certain ethnicity, or if they're LGBT or etc. And when people say these on the solo queue, they should be legally, and they are legally, allowed to do that. However, every company can have their own terms of service which can prevent that. And that's the problem here, because I think Riot's terms of service is very un-American in my opinion. This wouldn't necessarily apply to Europe though, and European servers in terms of their terms of service. But in America, you should be allowed to do say what you want, and I believe in freedom of speech in its fullest form. Anyhow, let's talk about the second part, and this is of course people getting banned from elo boosting. And elo boosting is a kind of tricky subject. To make a real life comparison, in America, when people say it's a capitalist country, it's really not a capitalist country. It's more like crony capitalism. So that means a lot of people in the higher ups, or maybe let's use the cool terms, the 1%, is giving jobs to their families and their close ones, which is practically cronyism. And they're not necessarily giving the jobs based on merit. And this also applies to nepotism, which means you're giving jobs to your relatives. And the elo boosting is kind of similar. However, in the elo boosting situation, if you boost the bronze player to platinum player, when he starts to play on that platinum, he will eventually fall off. So it won't be really a problem. It will be a problem until he gets back to bronze. But he still is going to be like weeded out by the system because he's not good enough to play in the platinum. Or maybe he is. And he will eventually just go back to bronze, and the problem is solved. Only issue there is, of course, he will get the season rewards, and some people might be a bit salty about that. But in the technicalities form, elo boosting is not that bad, and perhaps Riot has demonized it too much. The other problem is that Riot hasn't really addressed that people should be able to buy Smurfs in the game if they're already level 30. And a lot of people got banned. I don't know the exact number. A lot of people were tweeting about it, like Leviathan LoL, and he was rather critical about this, and I kind of agree with his points. Whereas, if you keep banning all the people from your game, there's not going to be people playing your game. A lot of content creators, a lot of streamers, a lot of, not really pro players yet, but a lot of people are already moving to Overwatch. And you have a bit of a problem there, right? Because if you're just going to keep doing these bad decisions as you're making in company outside esports, and now you're really ruining a lot of the esports elements of the game, you're just going downhill pretty much. If we can look statistics on the Korean PC banks right now, Overwatch is really closing in, and League of Legends is really going down on the game time in those Korean PC banks right now when you compare the statistics. And maybe in a month or two, Overwatch will be the most played computer game on PC banks, to be honest. And League of Legends is not really doing a lot of favors them from banning their content creators or banning people from the NA Challenger scene. Not only it's really bad for NA as a region, and if people have to elo boost, that means there's not enough money in the game. And that is because Riot has disabled every company from running international tournaments. I already talked about this on the wildcard region video. But essentially, if there was more tournaments that these players or challenger level players could play in, these leagues and tournaments maybe hosted by MLG, DreamHack, and etc., these people wouldn't have money problems, and they wouldn't need to resort in elo boosting. But because there's no money, they have to resort into that. This is very applicable to real world as well. If there is no jobs, you have to become criminal or you live in the fucking streets. That is very simple. So this current situation is all the money is really in the challenger scene right now and on LCS. If you're outside those two, you're not getting a fucking penny. And I don't want to derail this video any further on. Just to really summarize, I think elo boosting bans are ridiculous. It's some type of problem, not as big as people say it is. I think people shouldn't get competitive bans from it because they're totally unrelated from each other. And it's just Riot. It's really up to Riot really lift that open circuit back to have people more money opportunities through third-party tournaments. And thanks for watching this video. If you really enjoyed it, I would recommend checking out my other Automata videos and other content I've done. It would really mean a lot to me if you would subscribe as well and perhaps leave a comment and discuss the topic with me. I'm always interested discussing about these subjects. Well, I make videos about interesting subjects. That's what I'm saying. Thanks for watching and see you next time. Cheers.